Okay, red light means we're going, right?
Yes.
Okay. April 21st meeting of the EDIC. I have on the very first order of the business after calling to order the video discussion. Because as I alluded to earlier, I want to have these things be both video and audio taped. So right now this portion theoretically is only the audio is going to be used, but I'd like us to vote.
Can we vote?
Yeah, well, we
That's a good question. You know, I wondered, we've
Well, you
made
know,
an
why don't we
awful
just-
lot of
why don't we just
decisions
vote and just
about
go
all
with it?
kinds
Yeah.
of stuff. And it's
Okay,
like,
yeah, so we can vote.
Okay.
Whether it's valid or not, we can vote. But, you know, how much of this is valid anyway?
Well, how about consensus?
Okay,
As
so
opposed
I
to
would like to
voting,
take
how about
it.
consensus?
I-
And
Hi, Clay.
Oh, cool, okay.
Howdy.
Clay, how are you, sir?
well, now I guess it's not.
Carol?
Yep.
Josh,
Hi.
Hi, Josh. Welcome.
have a seat.
Okay.
Hey, Clay.
I do. How are you?
good.
How about consensus?
Yeah, we'll do consensus.
Oh, wait a minute, we don't need consensus.
Here we go.
Well, but has our number been officially changed?
But even if it hasn't, 2, 4, 6, 7.
You need 8.
We need
You need 8,
Yeah.
right? You need one more than
Yeah.
you need simple majority.
Yeah, Gail did say she's not going to be here, and I have not heard yet from Mike. So, anyway, what we're talking about is, for the two of you, for a long time, these meetings were not recorded. Most meetings in town are video recorded, so the public can know what we're up to. I made a request quite a few months ago that we at least audio record it so that we could listen to them and take notes from that. I felt that the climate has changed and that the people, the general consensus was that they didn't mind being videotaped anymore. So I have this at the first order of business because I'd like the tape that's rolling now to be used as video as it would be henceforth. So an informal consensus, everyone who agrees that it's okay for us to videotape, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to it? Okay. So this is now a videotape.
What becomes of that?
Oh, it's going to be posted on
ECAT.
ECAT 5.
Okay, great.
And I will make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Public speak, I have something for public speak, but it's related to something on the agenda, so I'm going to wait for it. Did you have anything to say other than, okay. Planning department, we have no one from the planning department, so they both have, or actually, Jamie has the day off, and Jamie and Jessica left early because she's coming back for a meeting tonight. Quorum discussion. Did you, David, you had expressed to me some opinions earlier in the week about the temporary appointments. Did you want to bring that up now?
We could. It's not necessary,
Okay.
but, you know, I had some reservations about the process, but that's something we can deal with at a later date.
Okay, okay. So yeah, as long as we're eventually able to reduce our numbers to 10, we'll be in good shape. And that's in the process, right?
Yes, I prepared an administrative code and sent it to council for approval, and it'll come back to me. So I already sent it to anything for council goes to them the week before their meeting, and then they send it to subcommittee, and then it comes back to the full council. So that is in the works for the EDIC and industrial finance. And for the life of me, I can't remember if it was 10, it was 9, but whatever, I think we double checked at the...
It's 10, yeah.
Yep.
And we also decided to do away with the finance arm
Yes,
of it and have
a
just
separate administrative code. I did too.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
No.
So that would make,
No problem.
for us, when the city council approves a number of 10, then a 6 will be a quorum.
Yeah.
6 will be a quorum.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and we generally have more than 6 here. so-
And they also have in front of you the new, the new names for appointment.
Right. So this could be a good opportunity to introduce the two of you. I know you both, but do you want to, I guess we could just quickly go around and say who we are and what we do. You want to start?
Well, I know everybody at this table,
Okay.
but things are a little different for me than they were probably the last time I stepped into this building, in that I'm no longer a self-employed business owner. just working for somebody else full-time now, which is nice.
Okay.
Name?
Oh,
Clay Crow, I'm sorry.
Clay. Carol Smith. I've been on the ECC board for quite a few years, and before that, the East Hampton Cultural Council. I'm a full-time real estate agent with DeLapp Real Estate in Northampton, and actually part owner of the company. And I live on Loudville Road.
And she is taking the place of Denise Riggs.
Denise Riggs, yeah.
As a representative from ECA Plus.
But going to be a member.
Yes.
But will be a member.
Yeah.
Denise, I don't believe was ever actually
Denise
a
was
member.
not a member.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
And her name went forward.
Yeah.
Yep, good.
Welcome to both of you,
Thank you.
Clay and Carol. Thank you.
Do we have too many members? Is that
No.
what
No,
I'm
no.
hearing
No.
over here?
We're actually still shy of
We're
one.
still one shy. And after the next order of business, we might be shy too. So we'll get to that. So do you both know everyone here, or do you want us to introduce ourselves?
Introduce yourself.
Okay, David?
David Boyle from town. I work at A to Z Storage and Properties. I was on the board for a long time. I mean, this board from the beginning, and then I was off last year or 2 years. Now I'm back.
Mo Beliveau, Executive Director at the Chamber of Commerce, and I just started maybe 3 months ago or so.
Welcome.
David Gardner, and this is my second term on the EDIC. The first one was for a year, I think, just shy of a year, so I was just reappointed in January again. So.
Tom Brown, I'm with East Hampton Savings Bank, and I've been on EDIC since its inception. Wow. So, before it was EDIC.
You're a pilgrim.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm Josh Rosenblatt, and I started out with Local Works, which was a subdivision of EDIC, and became a member of EDIC probably about 2 years ago, and became the chair last year. So I am a just private citizen. I work for IBM from my house, and this is something I do on the side that I love. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. The next one is we do have a member of this group that has not been to meetings since March, and we've tried to reach out to her several times and have had no response. So we sent a letter, a certified letter to her saying, please either come and let us know what's going on, or we may vote you out. So this person is Susan Pepin Phillips. She's been a valued member of this group for years, and it's with a very heavy heart that I put this forward, but we just need to have the position be someone who's able to meet the challenge. So because of that, now so here's
You said, just to clarify, you said it hasn't been at a meeting since March. I think it's been a lot longer than that.
That's it, okay.
I'm not sure the last.
March was only last month.
Yeah.
Oh, I
March a year ago?
You mean March of a year ago?
March of 2014.
Yes,
Yes, I forget we're in April now. Yes, March of
These
2014.
meetings.
Say, what is the hard?
Yeah.
What is that?
word.
Really?
I run a tight ship here. Again, thank you, Tom. So, but then again, if we can't necessarily vote, we can say consensus, right? As to.
Well, you know, I was looking at the charter about that. I mean, if you read the section in the charter, it says some assumptions can be made in that supposing you have just enough members to form a quorum, and then one person doesn't show up. You know, that's sort of been the case. What the charter says is that the remaining board members can vote. It doesn't really mention a quorum. Now, I know that that's kind of
Standard thing.
it's
Well, no, it's a rule,
standard.
it's a
Yeah,
rule of necessity, because you don't want to be hostage to someone not showing up
Yeah.
on purpose.
that's
Okay.
right.
Right.
So then we can do this then?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, from my reading of it, it sounds like because their absence could create a lack of a quorum, and then what do you do?
You want to create gridlock. I guess too, my perspective, Josh, would always be, ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And granted, if we were taking a vote on some controversial issue that we could later be challenged on that vote, I would be reluctant to take that vote. But voting on turning on the video, voting on releasing a member, who's going to challenge us on those votes?
Yeah, okay.
And if they did, okay, we'll start over again with the process. But I doubt anybody's going to challenge us on those kind of votes.
Okay. Well, then I put forward the motion to remove Susan Pepin Phillips from the EDIC.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'm sorry, Susan. Okay, potentially developable land report and map presentation. That's for Jamie, and she's not here, so that will be put off to next week. The next thing is the May cleanup planning. And actually, what I may say is I may reverse those two, because I think we need to spend a little bit more time. Oh, we probably don't. So let's talk about the May cleanup.
Can I go backwards just a moment
Sure.
to something, because I came to a realization about something David and I had a problem with in terms of the number that has been kicked around for the board, 10 or 9. And it does seem, my first reaction was it should be an odd number, you know, for those purposes. But it occurred to me, and this was just today, I was thinking about it, because I didn't know if that was settled. It's settled now, we're doing 10, is that
Yeah.
correct?
I
Yeah.
understand that, they were settled as 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, I mean, I would rather have 9, but I thought 10 meant though that, once we're going, that the chairperson only votes in a tie.
Actually, what occurred to me is that to pass a motion, there has to be a majority of members for it to pass. So if it's a split vote, then it's no majority, the
It doesn't
motion
pass.
fails.
I know, I hate that though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
No, but that's, I like,
Everybody gets their
I
vote, but-
I don't mind defeat, I don't like being defeated because it was a tie.
Well, but
No, I mean, that's,
yeah, I guess I was gonna ask David,
Yeah,
a
but
tie
I-
vote is in fact a no vote, right?
That's right.
A
That's
tie
correct.
vote is.
It is, I understand that, I just,
See, I come from the perspective that if we have a tie vote on something, we've done something wrong in selling something, and maybe it should be defeated. You know, we talk about that at board meetings at the bank. If it ever comes down to a tie vote, if it came down to a tie vote on your board on the chamber, you've done something wrong in selling,
well, remember too,
selling the proposal.
he would only step in to vote, when someone's missing. Because if he doesn't vote, if that's what we did.
Then you'd have 9 votes.
You would have 9 votes anyway.
Right.
And to me, you know, if something loses 5-4, well, that's just the way it is.
Right,
It's just-
right.
It's, you know, he struck out, big deal.
Yeah,
So if someone didn't show up, and then it was a 4-4, I always thought it was the prerogative. It didn't mean he had to step down. He could, you know, he could say, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, my attitude too was, did we even want to worry about codifying Robert Rules of Order? If we did, that's a further discussion later on. I could care less.
We do have to adopt some rules of order. It doesn't have to be Robert's, but that's pretty clear.
Well, then it'll be mine.
It's pretty clear.
well, yeah, to your point, Dave, some rule, what are we gonna do if we in fact
So
did
you
end
have
up with a 5 to
consistency.
5 vote? What's the rule? Because just Murphy's Law says, like Robert's rule, Murphy's Law says if we don't have a rule, we'll end up with a 5 to 5 vote someday, we won't know what to do.
Motion
But it fails on a 5 to 5 vote. it
Well, maybe
fails.
we should just say that as chair, I should not vote unless it's a tiebreaker.
And that's what Dave was
Well, that's
proposing.
what we,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm fine with
find
that.
out why
I'm fine with
that.
that. Sure.
But
I
at some
mean-
point, we do need to talk about rules. It's something that's part of, it's not only is it in the charter, but it's also open
Right.
meeting.
But if 9 members are here, it'll never be a tie,
Right.
It's
Oh,
true.
so that's true.
right?
What are the chances we ever
Well,
have 10?
you only have 8 show up, is what Dave was saying, only 8 show up,
Yeah.
and you have
Well,
a
you
tie
get the,
vote.
I mean, we can go on and on, you can get an abstention, this and that, but you know, I mean, your original point is if the chairperson is doing their job to a certain degree, and it should be almost like a consensus, either yea or nay. I mean,
Right.
everyone's on board.
Right.
You know, you shouldn't have too many split votes. I
Right.
mean, you might have a couple, because people are people, I mean, you know.
Yeah, there should be a lot of 7 to 2s or 6 to
Right.
3s, but there shouldn't be
And
a lot of.
in my attitude was not to
Okay.
worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Well, let's,
Anyway, sorry.
We'll go with that.
I think that's
Chair won't
as
vote.
of right now, with Gail Cannon and Mike Burley, we are 9 members. So
Right.
it's not an issue right now.
Well, there's always that issue too, are we gonna be full as a board?
Yeah, right. Will we ever
I have a
sit-
question. Do we have, as a group, like a mission statement? I'm just wondering, with all this talk of votes and all,
That's a very good question.
It's been on the agenda, I think.
Those are those fun things that everybody avoids.
We've staggered with that a long time, and I ended up taking it off the agenda 2 meetings ago, because we came to a consensus, even though we didn't have a formal thing in writing, that our goal was twofold. Number 1 is to promote economic development in East Hampton, and number 2, to be an arm of the city government. And because the mayor and the city government does not have an employed economic development person. So we are to fill that job. So though it's not written down formally, that's basically it. To promote economic development in East Hampton and to be an arm for the government.
so with the discussion of all the votes that we might have, are any of the decisions that we make that important as far as, I mean, we're not making any laws in here.
Well, you know, yes and no. I mean, in terms of the thing right now with the zoning ordinance,
With the what?
the zoning ordinance, there's been a zoning ordinance put forth by 2 members of the community to limit, initially it was to limit all incoming new businesses to 50,000 square feet.
I think, Clay, to your point, you're right. We don't make policy, we don't make law, but other bodies in town look to us for
That's
our
what I was going to
opinions.
say. That's what I
Okay,
was
so-
going to say. The commissions that are voting on this are looking to us for our input.
Right.
And our advice. And this is why, you know, Mr. Cotton has been here several times for the last... Courtney, I'm sorry.
It's been called worse.
Because it's very, he's got an interest in it as well. And so it makes a difference to him what this body advises to. Yeah, we don't make laws, we don't make rules, but hopefully the planning commission will listen to what we say.
So as a group, we might come to a decision that we don't want 50,000 square foot buildings and
Right.
new business development, and that would be our opinion as a group.
Well, what would be, it would be our opinion that we agree with the proposal or we don't agree with the proposal. Either we think the proposal is a good thing or we think it's a bad thing. And that's what they're looking to us for, is that opinion.
And it appears from what we've heard from those bodies from time to time, whether it's planning, zoning, other, it appears that they do put weight in that recommendation
Yeah.
from EDIC.
So,
But our weight, though, you know, we don't have any, like a formal legal authority, but going back to 1998 and 2000, when we drove the vision process, and then the vision process took a life on its own, but that helped us get back on track with grants in town.
Right.
You know, and 'cause we were blackballed for a while, and that really helped get the ball rolling. You know, that's not that we're so great, but we can be more than we can be as much as we want to be. You know, we can't make laws, but you know, we can throw our weight around.
I have a question about something that, because there's another ordinance change before the planning board and ordinance committee right now. It has to do with the sign ordinance. It has to do with LED displays for gas stations. Have we no interest in offering a recommendation or
we
opinion
probably
on that?
could. It's not been raised to us yet. So I think someone should raise it to us. You could raise it to us. Not right now. I mean, we put it on the, let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we could research it before the next meeting, so we could talk
Yeah,
about
you
it.
need a planning report because one of the planners wants to show the whole sign ordinance, so I think we should get some more information. I think we should get some more information what we're wading into.
Well, I think it's a good clarification, you know, actually, because in my opinion, it was got kind of confused with electronic message centers.
Mhm.
And I personally have no objection to the changes that are being proposed, but I just thought that it's something that's coming up actually tomorrow night, Wednesday night. They're going to be talking about that at the ordinance meeting. So.
Well, okay, I'll put it on the agenda. So, I mean, if they haven't made a decision,
Mhm.
I'll see if I can get information about it, disseminate it to all of us. excuse me, and now let's do our research.
I guess sometimes too, Josh, it might be difficult to wade through, and I'm not saying that's an insignificant issue, Dave, but is it critical to the mission of, is the business going to leave town or not come to town because they can't get the type of sign they want? Don't know the answer to that, but is it, for lack of a better phrase, do we have a dog in that fight?
I would think that if a business is willing to invest in a sign, they're looking at it to make money for them. And so it becomes an economic development issue as far as I'm concerned. I mean, signs are
Could
meant
relate
to...
taxes too.
Yeah, signs are meant to generate business. If they're not getting a sign, maybe they may not move out of town.
I would say
but,
we have a dog in that.
Yeah,
Well,
but I
it was
think
gonna-
the sign in this case,
It was gonna cost the city money if we didn't use our heads.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was the bottom line.
But I guess in this case, though, the sign was simply, it wasn't a sign, it was a replacement of an existing sign,
No.
just modernizing it, wasn't it?
No, this has to do with an interpretation of the ordinance that will go citywide and allow all service stations to use LED.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop
Yeah.
this, okay, because this isn't on our agenda.
Yep, that's fine.
I'll put it on the agenda next time, and then we can talk about whether or not we do have a dog in the fight.
Perfect.
So, but right now, we're talking, we could either talk about the zoning thing, which we're kind of on that, so I'm going to flip-flop these two, but I will make sure we leave enough time to make sure we have all our cleanup day ducks in a row. Okay, so I have been, let me say at the onset, I'm a little uncomfortable doing anything further on this today, but I'm open to being swayed, but because we don't have anyone from the planning department here. I do want their input before we actually make a recommendation. But I received a letter this morning from Dan Hagan Jr., who is one of the two people who put forward this zoning ordinance. And he has asked that I read this as part of the public speak for this agenda item. Dear EDIC members, unfortunately, I am unable to attend your meeting on April 21st, 2015. However, as one of the proponents of the zoning proposal currently being considered by the City Council, I want to put my thoughts down in writing to be entered on the record at your meeting. This proposal is intended to fulfill a desire of the residents of East Hampton expressed through the master plan to limit large-scale, big box, in parentheses, retail development. This will have a number of positive impacts. It will allow small businesses to continue to flourish in East Hampton, as new businesses will be encouraged to open without the threat of a large-scale store being opened next door. It also keeps our development sustainable and in a scale with existing businesses in the East, and in scale with existing businesses in East Hampton. This will allow for the prospect of more easily reusing, repurposing buildings should the original retailer leave. In addition, the proposal provides for reduced minimum average requirements for planned business developments and planned unit development for mixed uses. These reduced acreage requirements are to benefit businesses and developers and will help to encourage increased construction of new businesses in the city. In fact, since we have proposed a reduced acreage requirement, we have been contacted by Cumberland Farms, which is excited about the prospects of our proposal being passed soon so that they can locate their business in East Hampton. Finally, we have developed a new definition of gross floor area to encourage green development. The process this proposal has gone through to get to its current state has been very positive. Together with other stakeholders, including developers, business owners, and the city planner, we have been able to develop a proposal that can be accepted to the parties. This process has involved a number of amendments to our original proposal. Our city planner, Jessica Allen, made several recommendations that the parties have embraced. It is my understanding that the Greater East Hampton Chamber of Commerce endorsed this proposal with those recommended changes made by Jessica. The debate during the joint hearings of the City Council Ordinance Subcommittee and the Planning Board has been respectful, and all parties have been reasonable and working toward a compromise. I'm happy to report that we seem to have found that compromise position. The parties seem to be able to agree that the latest round of changes by Jessica Allen at the April 14th joint hearing is a proposal that is acceptable. The EDIC should endorse this proposal and process by which it has been developed. The parties are at a good compromise solution, and it would be counterproductive to disrupt that position. I strongly encourage the EDIC to make a recommendation that the City Council pass this proposal in its current form, which includes the changes made by the city planner. Sincerely, Daniel C. Hagan Jr., Esquire.
This point of order, I have no problem with that. I like the flavor, but he is a voting resident of Southampton.
Yes.
For the record, he's not a city resident.
Right.
And so if he's a lawyer, he has to say who he's representing. When you say Esquire, you can't just, I'm a
Okay.
lawyer. I mean, if you were a lawyer living in town, you can do whatever you want. But
Okay.
if you're not a resident and you say you're a lawyer, who are you representing? Now, we know, I don't care, but I just want on the record that he's a resident of Southampton.
Okay. So
I don't
he
have any
probably
issue-
would have been wise not to put Esquire on the signature.
Exactly, exactly.
Do you have a copy of those changes, David? Have they been printed out yet?
No, I don't. I don't have anything from the last meeting unless you
No.
do. The last.
I only had what was
Like
distributed at the last meeting.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I have too.
Right.
And that's what you have too.
I don't have that.
You showed it to us when we were sitting here before the meeting
That was
started.
the original.
No,
All
that-
or side comments.
Those are with the change, the
Oh,
proposed changes.
okay.
So, my thoughts on this, I said a while ago that I would be happy with this, with the proposed changes that the planning department was putting forward. And if I had Jessica sitting here now saying that she would be happy with it, then I would be happy with it as well. I'm reluctant to do that without having either her or Jamie here. I'm also reluctant for us to take action because this seems like it's new to you.
Mm-hmm. Completely.
I've heard a little about it.
You've heard a
but
little
yeah.
bit about it, okay.
Yeah.
I think...
I think we
what
have time on our side for two reasons. The next meeting is May 14th, is that correct? 12th. We're not going to be meeting until after that for our next regular EDIC meeting. And then I think we'll have more information, we'll have Jessica's, and then we can make a researched, thought-out thing for the full city council. I'm not so concerned, unless they have another meeting after May 12th, which we don't know how it's going to go. But we're not in an urgent crunch.
No, I would like...
Other than getting it off our list.
I would...
And I think too, Josh, that there's been David, myself, and I thought someone else from EDIC, maybe it was just you and I don't know, have made public comments at a planning board meeting, and you have too. So they kind of know our individual positions.
Right.
They still don't have a consensus vote, if you will, from EDIC, but after the last meeting, it didn't seem like that was as urgent of an issue to them as it was originally, because they seemed to feel that there was general consensus going in the direction of compromise, and therefore, if it was going that route, they didn't, it was one time when they didn't necessarily need our opinion to sway them one way or the other, although I voiced mine, but.
I think what I will do is suggest that we not make a recommendation now, but amend a little bit what you said, maybe have a separate meeting before May 12th, so that we can, because I do want to have...
It would be nice to have it,
I
because.
want to have us be of value.
Yeah.
I sent to the members of the zoning board and the planning board a link to the audios for the meetings that we had discussed this.
Okay.
And what I will do is I'll send those to the two of you, and I'm sorry I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
But so before our next meeting, if you wouldn't mind taking an hour or so and listening to it, just so you can see what the general tone of it has been. And I'm going to suggest that we do meet before May 12th. And
The only other thing I want to bring up is, Dan mentioned a few times Cumberland Farms, and I'm well versed on what's going on there, and I don't have a problem with it, but Valley Farms isn't going to be too happy.
Yeah, I was
So, I'm just what I'm getting. It's just a bit ironic.
Yeah.
okay, well, that's kind of like discussion of the thing. And I
Yeah.
always want to have discussion of the thing now. But we can do
That's fine.
that.
That's fine. That's fair.
Can I speculate about what might be going on? I'm guessing that the Hagans or somebody presented a proposal and it's been amended in certain ways,
Yes.
and that's what's
It has.
going on.
Yeah,
I think-
and that's why I want to have Jessica, or someone from the planning department here to say what the amendments are and to say
Okay.
that they're happy. And actually, Dan's letter mentions the chamber being happy with it. And was that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've
It's been
just,
further amended since then.
I'm sorry?
I mean, it's been further amended. Jessica's,
Right.
they're going into, I shouldn't say amended. The tweaking is getting more defined.
Right.
It's the same flavor all day long, but it's,
Right.
Were you finished? I'm sorry.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking some discussion on this would be okay, just not coming to a conclusion without Jessica or Jamie here.
Sure.
But if you don't want to have any discussion.
Well, let's shoot for 10 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. But actually, while we're during that, I want to make sure part of that 10 minutes is when we can meet again. Sticking to Tuesdays, our next normal meeting would be May 19th.
Well, we could meet the night of the 12th, if they're meeting the
day of
12th,
it?
then that would be the
Is that
day
this
of the event.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Is everyone happy with that, May 12th?
Yep.
Okay. And I will get word to
4
Mark.
o'clock
Yeah.
again?
4 o'clock here, yeah.
And that takes the place of the 19th meeting?
I hope so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'd be okay. That would be okay.
Sure, okay. So the May meeting will be just bumped up a week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Um,
That works, 'cause
Okay. Yeah, so.
Well, I want to just bounce in on what Dave was saying, and it's interesting because you do get some unsolicited opinions or comments on Facebook from time to time, but I'll just reiterate where my position was, and I spoke to the planning board that I was opposed to any restriction, compromise or not. I felt that there were enough hoops for a new business to go through. The size of the building is already restricted by the size of the lot. Building permits, zoning, site plan review, conservation, you name it. There's a whole host of things a business goes through long before they put a shovel in the ground and get to a size issue. And whether it's 50,000, or even one of the city councilors said they thought 60 might be a good number. Well, okay, well then why wouldn't 72 be a good number? It's all arbitrary. And the whole thing about Cumberland Farms seems like we were, and I have no disrespect for Cumberland Farms, but it was like we were sitting around the campfire singing Kumbaya about Cumberland Farms. Well, to Valley Farms, Cumberland Farms will be a big box. And going back to the Facebook conversation, people were reminiscing about the grocery stores in New City. There were 4 of them in their heyday. And they said those grocery stores were all doing well until the big box, Big E's came to East Hampton. That's exactly how they described
It wasn't Big E's, it was Ed's Food Land.
Zed's
Ed's
Food
Food
Land.
Land.
It was, so it's in the eye of the beholder is big box, because, and again, I'll go back to Cumberland Farms. Cumberland Farms opened a beautiful store in Westfield, right on the
Yes.
Westfield Southampton line.
Huge thing, yeah.
Within 3 months, the variety store that was next to 7B's was out of business. I'd argue that Cumberland Farms did more harm to local business in Westfield than Walmart has done. So again, it's in the eye of the beholder, and I hope Cumberland Farms gets to town. I think it's great, but it seems to me to be contradictory to say we want to restrict a lot size development to 50,000 square feet to keep out big box, but we want to make it easier for, I'm not so sure Cumberland Farms classifies as a local business, but they're based out of Providence. So as opposed to if Josh or Clay wanted to open a variety store in that corner, would you get the same consideration? So it seems contradictory to open the door and roll out the red carpet to Cumberland Farms and say to a big box Walmart or Home Depot, you're not welcome. And we've all heard it around this table. We've heard it once, we've heard it 100 times. Walmart has a neighborhood store footprint that they can bring in a model of a 38 or 48,000 square foot building. So
We're not keeping them out.
we're not keeping them out. We're not keeping them out. We're just forcing them to build a smaller building. So I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse if Walmart came in with 75,000 square feet or 48,000 square feet. Don't know if I feel better or worse. But anyway, that's where my position. I was opposed to any restrictions because it's already difficult enough for a business to locate in East Hampton.
I was struck by the thought of a 35 or 40,000 square foot Walmart coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure that I agree with the original tenet of the proposal, but I'm just not so sure that you can accomplish it just by size restriction.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if the thought was to keep out the Walmarts and bigger grocery stores. That's not doing it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
not doing it.
don't know if we could do it by, like you have to have, be owned locally or
No.
not franchised. I mean, we have a McDonald's and a Burger King that are franchised by local people
Right.
who do a lot of good stuff for the community,
Mhm.
but they're still a McDonald's and a Burger King, you know. Yeah, I'm not exactly, this is why I want to hear from the planners, because they're the pros at this.
There's also not a lot of people knocking down our doors to bring new business.
This
to
is true,
Hampton.
and our schools need money, and our roads need repair.
You'd be hard pressed to think of the last new business from outside East Hampton that opened in East Hampton.
I can think of a lot of them, actually.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few on Cottage Street.
Breweries.
Small
I get-
businesses.
I guess when I was saying
Fort
that
Hill
originally,
Brewery,
Dave,
they located here. They actually wanted to be on Route 10 at first, but, I mean, that was the original idea at
That
the
side
feeder
street.
lot or something like
That
that.
side street off of Route 10.
Yeah,
If you're coming over the bridge, that first right.
yeah.
Oh, Mill.
Well, when I first,
Mill.
Oh, yeah.
actually, I believe the man's name is Eric. I think the first night he spoke, I saw him, was at a city council meeting or something. He was sitting there. I spoke to him afterwards because I heard he wanted to open a brewery, and he had been looking at the feeder lot there, because originally his idea was he wanted to grow his own hops.
Which he does.
It does.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, but
Which he does.
there was, anyway.
But it
I
wasn't.
so there
I think my caveat to that was, I'm sorry, my caveat to that was, because we were concentrating on Northampton Street, I'm not trying to dance around Dave's,
Oh.
what's the last new business to open on Northampton Street?
Flurry Power, I think.
Yeah, there are a lot of little businesses all through there. There's Captain Jack's, of course. There's the East Hampton Savings Bank. That
Yeah, but
opened
New
there
East
on the-
Hampton is what
That's
I'm
a big
saying.
five.
I can
That's right.
dance around anything you can give me, Dave. I was saying
But
New East
Flurry,
Hampton.
Flurry Power,
I think Flurry.
He was in East Hampton.
He relocated.
He was?
He was relocated. East Hampton Savings
I
Bank.
mean-
Captain Jack's, I think, relocated.
Yeah, well,
There was
but
a
they're
family-
both organic, you know.
Yeah.
Flurry's actually was out of his house, then he got another space, then he got this space. I mean,
that's good.
Family Dollar on Union Street to put the little Family Dollar out of business.
That's too bad.
But I wanted to talk about the formula for, I mean, you were talking about Walmart and what difference does it make to have a 35,000, I did some research on that. So, and Tom, you and I talked about it one day at a meeting here. So after that, I decided I should really look into their 35,000 square foot urban store, and what's different about that. What is different about it is that those have to be sustained by superstores. So what the formula is, for every superstore, they can satellite out 6 of these smaller stores. The reason they're doing it is because there's a demand, because people, communities across the country don't want big boxes in their towns. So we're not doing anything groundbreaking here by thinking this way. There's a good reason for that as well. And I've mentioned a bunch of them here, but I won't go to that right now. What I want to talk about is the 35,000 square foot stores. For instance, they have one that's a grocery store. All Walmart is seeking to do at this point is capture a share of the market, which means that instead of Goliath moving into town and putting everybody out of business, the smaller stores actually have to compete with existing stores, because there's cost in actually taking stuff from one spot, from a warehouse. I mean, if you think about how businesses operate, there's a big warehouse somewhere full of goods. There's a little store. What if there's a 5,000 square foot store? They can only stock so much in the store, so you got to keep schlepping stuff over from the warehouse. That takes time, money, resources, all kinds of stuff. So the stuff that's in these smaller stores isn't sold at the same price as the superstores. It's actually has to be marked up because the cost of doing business of that model, that business model, is actually higher. All they're seeking to do is capture market share. So we already have approval for a Stop and Shop on Route 10 for nearly, John always disagrees with me, but I'm going to say it again, 50,000 square feet, thereabouts. That's where the 50,000 square foot cap came from. It was not arbitrary. I keep hearing arbitrary associated with the 50,000 square feet. There's nothing arbitrary about it. It was carefully thought out and planned before it was proposed. But I have no issues with the smaller model stores of anybody coming to town. But I also want to point out the difference between locally owned businesses, franchise businesses, and corporate businesses. And I know the Chamber of Commerce took this up a few years ago, and it was when Local Works was still happening. There is a hierarchy of money that goes back into the community. It's not as cut and dry as to say, a local business puts, $50 back into the community of every dollar they take in, and non-local businesses only, recycle maybe $9. I don't know what the numbers are. I just know that there's kind of a hierarchy, and it breaks down to mom and pop stores contribute the most to a community. It keeps most of the dollars that they take in the community. The next one would be local franchises, McDonald's, Burger King, because you have local people who own them. Big Y, now that's a big store, but that's locally owned. That's not a national. That's not an international corporate-owned operation, and we know that they put a lot of money back into the community. You get into,
Not in East Hampton.
You'd be hard-pressed to find big wide dollars in these.
Yes,
Well,
and that's
No,
they
they
are.
don't have a store.
Well, just, I
Yeah.
don't know, I want to wrap it up, but just, David, what you're talking about, in essence, superficially is correct, but I don't want to get into it, but the cost of capital in this country is getting so large that mom and pops are almost becoming dinosaurs. So I wouldn't discourage anything that we can do to help mom and pops, but there's a lot of shoveling shit against the tide with mom and pops. Capital is just moving the other direction.
Yeah.
We got 15 cash markets. I have the calendars for 15 cash markets in town, from the 10s and 20s. And one reason why there was so many cash markets was because you only wanted to walk a mile or two with your piece of meat. You didn't want to walk 5 miles with your piece of meat. So you didn't have refrigeration.
Yeah.
Time,
Okay.
well, anyway.
So I'm going to stop it now, though. So you get a good feel for what we've been talking about. I will definitely send those to you.
Okay.
And so we'll definitely put it on the docket for next time. And cleanup day will be behind us then, so we can devote more time to it. Cleanup day, I met with Mo and Denise a few weeks ago, and we have devised the work plan, the work chart, and it's being made large, and it's going to be posted there, and I'm going to be,
You have a date for the new members?
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Yeah, I knew that.
Saturday, May 2nd. And I'm going over at 9 o'clock on Friday, May 1st, to help Denise bring stuff upstairs, and she has requested that we have one more person. So is there anyone there?
I'll go.
Okay, so 9 o'clock at the chamber on Friday morning.
Don't be afraid or hesitant to remind me. So I'll be
May
there.
1st.
Yeah, May 1st.
We have a Facebook event
You do?
thing that we put out, and we've got 15 volunteers who've committed on that so far.
Great.
For Saturday evening?
Mhm.
Sweet.
And one maybe.
What's the Facebook page connected to?
The chamber.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's
You
just
can
about,
like us, and you'll get the chamber.
and it's just about the,
I like you anyway.
the volunteers showing up and folks like Mo and Denise there sort of just guiding people in keeping track of, I've already sent 10 people down this way, so make sure I send the next 10 people the other direction.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kind
and
of
I think
thing.
I may be with you in the, I usually do the mulch, but I think I will stay in the chamber with you that day.
And do we have someone sort of heading that up? I don't know if John's still doing that.
Mulch, yeah, I've sent a letter to Chuck McCullough so that we have, they usually provide for 3 or 4 people.
Okay, good.
As well as a couple little trucks.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
I've been doing
so-
it before.
And I did get the information off to the Gazette, so they should be scurrying about now selling ads to put the piece in the Gazette, and it goes in the Summit, just reminding the world when the cleanup day is.
And we should get kids from high school. And also, Big Y Southampton is going to send a group of people over as well.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna send a damn
think-
check.
And I'm going to order the mulch. I have to look and see how much we're sending. I'll look in last year's, so I don't remember, but it'll be delivered back here. Are there any other open switches on that? Oh, James Zarvis will go around and collect the trash bags that people fill up. And he'll dump them back here for the city. I've been in touch with Joe from the Public Works, and he will pick up the trash bags, and they will have the street sweeper come through and sweep after the night after the event. I think
What time's that get started?
8 o'clock. From 8 to noon, 4 hours.
Usually, typically, Clay, it's done long before noon.
Yeah.
Typically,
Like 10 o'clock is-
10, 11,
yeah.
they're done at the latest. The guys might still be working on the mulch, but 10
Well,
or
it depends
11.
who gets stuck with Mike Superson.
Yeah, Mike doesn't quit. Michael work till dark. He doesn't quit, but typically you know,
We
you
need to
might
have
be
it
on-
right in your rooms back at the chamber by noon.
Yeah, no later than noon.
Yeah.
No later than noon. But typically it's done sooner.
And then we take everything down.
Yes,
On
right down,
Saturday.
right down the
Yeah,
stairs.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you
Because
providing
Portuguese
food?
can't, I'm sorry?
You're providing food at the chamber?
Yeah.
Typically donuts and coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Donuts and
I'll
coffee.
get donuts from
Healthy
Tandem, and I'll get juice and stuff. I mean, I'll get bagels from Tandem. Sorry, Tandem. And we'll get juice and coffee
Yeah,
from
one table set.
Biggie. Anyone else have any other thing? Or questions about that?
I have another question.
Sure.
Where did you guys get your agendas? Does somebody usually send those
You
out?
should get
or-
an email.
Yeah, I got mine on email.
Yeah, I should have had an email from me with it.
Okay, you probably.
Yeah. What, just, have you received any emails from me about this?
I think I might have gotten a couple of Facebook messages or something.
What's your email address, and I'll make sure that I have the right one.
Clay@beyondgreen.biz.
Clay@beyondgreen.biz. That's not what I have.
Well, you might have claycrow@me.com, which is another.
Okay, I'll look and make sure. Would you prefer this one?
I'm probably more likely to see it if it goes to that
Cool.
one.
Cool. You know what? I think we may be able to give you back 11 minutes. Does anyone have anything else?
Time is lost forever. Like sleep.
I had,
Yeah.
actually, just real quick, I attended last Friday with the coffee with the mayor, and I did, in deference to Karen, I spoke with her privately afterwards, because I didn't want to create a whole thread about that particular issue, but I've been concerned about the condition of the roads, primarily in the business district, and I see DPW out filling potholes on Prospect Street and Summer Street and East Street, and ignoring, God, you can't drive around the Rotary without losing a hubcap.
No.
And the
No.
Rotary and Cottage Street and Union Street, Cottage Street, my God. It's right where your tires go.
Yep.
And if you try to get out, you're in the other lane or you're taking somebody's door.
Glendale's
So
bad,
I just
too.
asked if she could ask the DPW, could they at least focus for a little bit on the business district from the Rotary to Nini's and fill a few potholes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their delay is. They're out filling them everywhere else,
Yeah.
on the outskirts, but they're sort of, and it almost, I'm sure I've got the wrong impression, but I almost had an impression like they were ignoring the downtown area.
I'm wondering if they're
It's just,
going to the places that are less busy, because it's...
Yes,
No,
I know.
or
She did
they
say-
could be screaming as well, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, look at the pothole in front of my house. You
Yeah.
guys don't care.
I've been screaming out the ones in front of my house and nobody's listening.
oh, they filled one in front of my mailbox, and none other on the street. It
Yeah.
was weird.
Yeah, I don't know
One's
what
across the street.
It
Like
may
if
be
they'd
all
left
about
over.
money, I don't know. I know the hot asphalt places were just opening this week, I
Yeah.
believe, so that might be.
Well, we're
part of
still
the
not as
issue.
bad as Northampton.
I
As
thought
far
we
as
had bought a
potholes.
piece of equipment that we invested,
2 or 3 years
invested
ago.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
We still have that, right?
And I've
So
seen that
it's
out
not-
on Prospect Street and Summer Street, but I
Hot
don't.
box?
Pardon?
The hot.
Yeah, they
box?
put it
That was
in.
rented.
Yeah.
Thought, that was my impression.
The one at Duffy and Willow was rented, yes. But we had, it was smaller than that hot box. There was an article about it in the paper 2 or 3 years ago, and where we were actually chiseling up some of the road. We weren't just filling a pothole, we we're
Patching.
planing it, but we were,
Patching.
yeah, blending it in better, patching. I don't know what happened to that.
Maybe it's in disrepair.
Well, you know, it's roads in the schools are one thing that I think we have to somehow politely start putting the representatives' feet to the fire. I mean, you know, they can only do so much, but the infrastructure in general is deteriorating. And you know, and every year that you don't do it, it gets more expensive. And I don't understand why with infrastructure we don't federally or statewide bond. It's a good source of job creation. I mean, there has to be some like when they came to the stimulus and they did Route 10 in 2008, that was a little bit of a joke. I saw it firsthand from my office because all they did was take an existing contract and speed it up. My side of the road has granite curb. So they actually took the granite curb out, resetted it, repointed it. That's wonderful. No, it's good. That's labor intensive. The other side has asphalt curb. That's the wrong side of the tracks, I guess. So all they did was, and I was like, well, no, we need some labor here, because that is labor. You can't just do that with a machine.
No.
And if they would make the contractor say, okay, you're going to get this contract, but you got to hire the men to make this. And this, they're doing work in Hadley today. I got stuck in it, but I was like,
They're doing work everywhere.
this is wonderful. They're doing it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I didn't mind being inconvenienced. I'm like, it's like, but they're only doing like 4 miles. The road's 6 miles. I'm like, well, this is the rest.
I could suggest something that when we were coming in with Stop and Shop, we went to a bunch of meetings. They were prepared to come to town. We had made a bunch of suggestions. They said, no, let the town put their fingerprint on it, so they'll be happy with the project. They were prepared to put a new sewer system down Northampton Street. They'd have gone for $1.5 million. They may have blacktopped it when it was done to make a nice project. But with what happened, we all know what happened. That's horses left the barn. And
But to that point, when any business comes in of that size, you're able sometimes to get some infrastructure concessions from them, if not immediate adjacent to them, sometimes further. I mean, Big Y put in a sewer system quite a ways down Route 10 going towards, I think, all the way to the bowling
The
alley.
dollar store, I know the dollar store guy that brought the business in. And they would have paid for the light going down Liberty Street and turning that into its 4 corners.
Yeah.
But to Tom's point, though, to bring it, I kind of made it, his point, get a little or global, but to bring it back to, as part of EDIC, we should just make sure that we try to have curb appeal. I mean, potholes suck everywhere.
Yeah, they do. They're everywhere.
But, and I don't want to say one's more important than another, or, less critical, but first impression is your last impression. We have a nice boardwalk. I mean, I wish the boardwalk had buried some of the power lines, but it's, just a limited area, not.
Keep in mind, the money for the promenade has to be spent just on that, so.
No.
No, I understand that full well, but I guess it gets back to, if we're on top of things with our committee, sometimes you can just ask. It falls on deaf winds, but it's on the record, and maybe somewhere it gets picked up from the grant or something.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
One of the things our chair does, Clay, is get us out 5 o'clock sharp.
Yeah, I have a question.
That's good, because I got another meeting at 5:30.
Will the new bank building, when will it have a number on it? On the sign or the building? There are no numbers there.
You mean the street number?
Yeah, street number.
I don't know. Good question.
Can you guys take that offline?
Yes.
Okay.
We're done.
We're done.
Motion.
Sure. I'll check into that.